What is up, guys? Welcome to this episode of the Positionless Pod. I am your host, Kai Gamage, and I'm here with my wonderful, bright young minds, the brightest young minds in the basketball media landscape. Today, I'm here with Aaron Matthew, Diego San Agustin, and Michael Anthony Cruz. Boys, we did it. I mean, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop counting the episodes just because, like, we're back on it. Like, we're on a heat check right now. Smoke coming off of our fingertips. Like we just keep cooking. We're coming out with new episodes every single week. I don't even need to mention it anymore. Like we know where we're gonna be on Mondays. We know what's going down. We're here recording our podcast once again. Boys, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Before I say something, can we just talk about Kai's mustache here?
Yeah. Diego, what do you think?
I'm trying to get like you.
I'm trying to get like Travis
I
Kelce.
haven't shaved in a couple days either.
Yeah, well, this
Hey,
is
look,
this is a week and a half
Yeah.
right here. Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
shaving around it. I'm trying to get like Travis Kelce, might slide into Taylor Swift's DMs. Could be the move. No, did you guys see that like thing on Twitter like a week ago with like that girl who's like, like the shoes, tabby shoes? Diego probably knows what tabbies are. They're like those like Mason like Margiela shoes like that have like the slit down the middle.
Yeah.
There was like this thing on Twitter that kind of blew up like a couple weeks ago where like this guy in New York went on a date with a girl and like just stole her shoes.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get like him. I might go as him for Halloween. I thought that would be a pretty funny costume, so I'm trying to grow out the mustache a bit.
Okay, you got your Halloween outfit this year already.
Yeah.
There
Wait,
it is.
what?
Yeah, you've got your Halloween costume already.
Yeah, I just need to grow it out.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I
I
can't wait.
wait to see the final product, man.
It's gonna be awful. It's gonna be really ugly. Like I honestly I think I'm going until someone tells me to stop.
You got to show everyone Kai's costume last year.
Oh, we don't need to talk about that. Yeah, I don't know if going to the club in that outfit was the move, but we live for the bit, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And we live for unhinged Kai.
of course.
That's what.
Of course.
Yes,
Come
we
on.
do.
That's what I'm here for. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for bringing that up, Aaron. Happy to be here with our YouTube audience that can see it at all times. This entire episode, they can just see this thing. To the Spotify listeners, make sure to check us out on YouTube, or just don't if you don't want to see what's going on with my face right now. It's really up to you. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Obviously, hitting the outro already. But yeah, let's get into it. There has not been much basketball news this week at all. WNBA finals kicked off. It's going to be a blowout. Like maybe we'll get into it during like the the WNBA playoffs have kicked off. Maybe we'll get into it when it's the finals, when it's the Liberty and the Aces. But until then, it's just like, bro, there's 4 teams that were above 500. Let's be for real. Like we're just waiting for Liberty Aces. That's all that really matters. Otherwise, in the world of basketball, like there just hasn't been anything. So we're kind of going into this episode. We had some like episodes lined up later on the schedule for when we wanted to get into like the prime like preseason content, like the conference previews, the award predictions. For now, we're going to be doing our coaching hot seat rankings. We did the same thing last year. We looked like fools, absolutely wrong about almost everything. Actually, no, we were right about like some of the guys in tier 5. Like we knew right away that like Nash was going to be the first guy to get fired, and we were right about that. So props to us. But we put Nick Nurse in tier 1. Tier 1 is reserved for the best of the best, the guys that we're absolutely sure won't be going anywhere. That didn't happen at all. So we're hoping to do a lot better this time around. Just for like a little recap on how this is going to work. We're actually going to be doing like a full-on tier list today. So again, for the YouTube listeners, you guys get to follow along. We're going to be building the tier list right here in the video edition of this podcast. Spotify, like we'll still have like the describe audio. You guys can still hear what's going on. But we're going to be ranking every single coach in the league based on where they like how hot is their seat. Like, what are the chances that they get fired this season or like in the off season? What are the expectations of this coach coming into the year, and how safe is their job? Yeah. Anything else to add before we get this started?
It's
Yeah,
5 tiers.
that's
We
about
have
it.
5 tiers.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
to be clear.
Five tiers. Uh, yeah, it's gonna be fun. We'll also obviously be including all of the new coaches. It's rare that they get fired, but you never know. There might be a fun situation down the line. Let's get it going. All right. Let let's do it. Let's do this. Let's rank these coaches. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sweet. We got a tier maker already out here. Not sure what order all of these guys are in, but let's just do it in the order that we have it uh, right here. So
So
first
starting.
off the board, first year, or I guess new head coach Frank Vogel of the Phoenix Suns. Um, I'm of the belief that the Phoenix Suns are a team with probably the highest expectations in the league right now. Right? Like, this is a new manager that is absolutely going all in. I think that he's already, or sorry, a new owner that is absolutely going all in. I think that he's already kind of done his like big coaching change move. I don't expect him to like move another coach after the offseason, but if this team viciously underperforms, I think Vogel is absolutely going to be a scapegoat there, right? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, but
I'd
Yeah.
he won't be the one at fault, I would say.
yeah, like I'd put
He's
Vogel
an
in.
easy target to scapegoat. We already saw it in LA. So if it happens in Phoenix, like it's gonna be the same thing.
Yeah, and it's just like there's some serious new owner syndrome going on in Phoenix right now. Like, you don't make that Beal decision, you don't make that KD decision unless it's like a new owner coming into the building wanting to shake things up drastically. You don't let go of Monty Williams unless you're a new owner and like you want to shake things up drastically, right? And the way that they underperformed in the playoffs last season was partially due to their lack of depth, of course. When it's just KD and Booker and then a bunch of bums, like, good luck. But Vogel is coming in here with a team that I think we have high expectations for, right? Like, we're gonna get into it
He'd
deeper
be
into like our
crazy
what's
to not
that?
have, he'd be crazy to not have high expectations for this team.
Yeah, like if
So
this
sad
team
from top to
isn't
bottom.
in
Even
the
great.
Western Conference Finals at least, like that's a failure.
Mm.
Like,
Agreed.
how many years of KD do you have, right? Like, this is championship or bust for this new owner, right?
That's kind of what I expect from Ishbia. Like respect about Ishbia because ever since he came in, he knew exactly what he wanted. He wasn't afraid to like make changes in the organization.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't matter if we agreed or not. Like for example, I liked Monty Williams as coach of the Suns, but obviously he let him go. Like to everybody's surprise. But yeah, I can respect that he's not afraid to go all in and make the decisions that he wants to make for this team moving forward.
Yeah. And like, it might be a little bit preemptive to maybe fire Vogel if the season isn't the way that you expect it to go, but like with the expectations as high as they are right now, like, I don't think that they could get higher. I don't think that there's a more like win or die situation than the Phoenix Suns.
Okay, I agree with more or less what you've said, but at the same time, considering that Vogel was the head coach of a championship team just 3 years ago, I think the minimum he gets is this entire season. And even if they fail, I think he still starts the next season as the Suns coach, but next season he's probably like tier 4, tier 5 for me. Like, that's when I think his seat will be super hot. But right now, despite the championship or bust expectations that the Phoenix Suns have, I think for a guy who has championship caliber, who is championship caliber, c- like literally 3 years ago, he he won the title, right? So I think they have to be patient with him. And like, it's still a thin team, right? Aside from the three stars they have, they did sign a bunch of good role players, but again, would you count on those guys to be a championship unit? I don't think so. So I don't think Vogel would be the number one person to blame. if they fail this season. But after that, yes,
No, I
I
think it's
agree.
because the roster is so stacked that Vogel is going to be the one to blame.
Yeah.
Like it's usually the rosters with like very high superstar talents, and in this case, you have KD, you have Book, you have Aiton, you have Beal. So it's like you're not really going to scapegoat those guys first. You're gonna, if anything, maybe Aiton, but you're not going to scapegoat those guys. You're going to scapegoat Vogel first.
Yeah. But I
Yeah, I
agree.
agree.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree with everything Aaron said. I think it's gonna be like his seat is gonna get hotter by next season. I think. I mean, it's the first time they're rolling out with these 4 stars on the team. Like, it's gonna probably take Bradley Beal and Devin Booker time to coexist in the backcourt, and yeah, I guess he gets like not necessarily like a free pass, but a longer leash in year one. He's going if the Suns like get eliminated in the second round or something, or don't even reach the Western Conference Finals, there I think Vogel's. I mean, he's gonna get some of the blame for not being able to bring these guys together. But as much as this team is a super like top heavy team, and there's not really much he could do with the other existing parts of this team. So you can't really blame him for that because he can only do so much with the rest of the roster.
Yeah. I agree. I think he's tier 3, right? Like I'm not going to put him in tier 2. I don't think he's that safe. I think the tier 3 is kind of like that spot where it's like, okay, you have high expectations, but like we're not going to fire you at the end of the season unless everything goes like really really wrong, right? Tier 3 is like that spot where like you're going to be on the hot seat next season if you don't succeed this season. But the Suns, like there is such a high chance that they succeed because the roster's stacked. So there's a good chance that like we see him in tier 2 by next season, right? I'd put Vogel tier 3. Any
I agree with that. I put him like lower tier 3
Yeah.
because um the chances of the Suns kind of falling apart and playing for it is pretty high, I'd say.
Yeah. Tier
So I put
3?
him bottom tier.
Yep.
Just put him there. We're good. All right. Nicky Nurse. Oh my goodness, man. Canada's former head coach. I don't know what other team he coached, but yeah, he was just new Philadelphia 76ers head coach. Interesting spot. Really, really messy situation he's
That's
walking
kind of
into.
why I don't really know where I could put him.
He's a
Yeah.
confusing one, right?
Yeah.
Like the issues don't stem at all with Nick Nurse. They stem from the organization as it stands right now with James Harden and Daryl Morey. And I feel like if anything were to go wrong with this team, and chances are things are going to go wrong with this team, Daryl Morey might be
Mm.
more in trouble than Nurse. I think the Nurse is kind of just walking into a bad situation.
This is not
Um,
what he signed up for.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, we're not putting him in tier 1 again. That's for sure. And I'm not really willing to put him in tier 2. I think that there's still like when you have Joel Embiid, the only option is to win, right? And no coach has done that yet. And if Nick Nurse still can't do that, I don't think that like they'll want to be quick to fire him, but it won't be pretty. And what we saw from Nick Nurse with the Raptors last season was teams kind of figuring it out with him and like his schemes getting more static and boring and obsolete. Like his defensive affinity that he was like so revered for at the start of his career, particularly with the Raptors, just dissipated, right? Like the Raptors defense relied a lot more on just having athletes to intercept passing lanes or run the full court. And that's not what you're going to get with Philadelphia. This is a team that's going to need to rely a lot more on its offense, and we haven't seen Nick Nurse coach a good offense in a while since 2019. So I think that he's walking into a bad situation, and I think that we might have elevated him a bit too much. How do we kind of feel about Nick Nurse right here? Where do we think he belongs in this tier list?
Tough to say. It's honestly really tough to say. Well, go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, I think I know it's like playing it safe, but yeah, tier three is like for a new coach. I feel tier three is the common option here because they are entering a new situation with a bunch of players they've never coached. So it is obviously tough to scapegoat them at the end of a potential bad season. But like you said, there's always expectations with Joel Embiid is as your best player. So I think this season he's safe. Again, like Vogel, he's a coach who's recently won a championship. So the team is aware that Nick Nurse can bring them a title if they have a solid championship roster. And now that the Harden Clippers trades talks seem to have died down, I think the Sixers have more or less a championship contending
Harden's
squad.
not gonna play though.
We'll see.
I don't think he's gonna play.
He's not play,
He
He's
was
not playing.
you know Harden, man. We've seen it before. He's not gonna play.
S- I
The,
don't know
the fact that he doubled
because,
down on it too, I don't know.
see, like
You
Kai
can force
said,
his way out of there.
like Kai said, Daryl Morey might be headed to the exit before Nick Nurse, and if that actually does happen, I think
Oh,
that's
then
what Harden needs.
okay. So
No,
they
yeah.
get rid of
So
Maury. They get rid of Maury. Then Harden maybe will play for Philly again. But
yeah,
as of right now, like I don't see them firing Maury.
Yeah, like there's been no talk about that. I mean,
Yeah,
I think altogether Maury's been a good GM for Philadelphia, right? Like they had a great offseason last year. And I mean like they won the Ben Simmons standoff. Right? Like a lot of other GMs aren't doing what Maury did to get Harden into Philly in the first place. Um I think that like
basically, if you get a choice between Maury and Harden, I don't think Philly's gonna go with Harden. You know,
but like what else can you do? You need to win a championship. Like Joel's probably out the door.
yeah.
Like
Mhm.
like
That's exactly why they will have to make some big decisions,
yeah.
and I don't think firing Nick Nurse is going to be one of them, which is why tier three for me.
Yeah. I'm on tier 3 as well.
that's yeah.
I can see a case where he's actually tier two.
Okay.
What was it?
You want to
Yeah,
expand?
I can see a case where he's actually tier two because, as you guys mentioned, like it's not really his fault. Like whatever is unfolding in Philadelphia. Like if ever the Sixers hit a big time reset, I think he's going to be like the coach. He's still going to be like the coach that's going to usher them into the next whatever era that they're heading into. So I don't think his job is going to be that, you know,
in
that
Jeopardy.
yeah, that much in jeopardy
Yeah,
because it's completely not his fault. He can't be the scapegoat for this one
you're
because
right. I think there's just too many things going on in Philly,
yeah,
and
a
there's
lot a lot of things have
other
to
players and staff
unfold.
who are in more of a hot seat than Nurse. So if you look at it from that perspective, yeah, I actually agree.
Yeah, like James Harden has to go first. If they don't build a championship roster around Embiid after trading Harden, then Embiid's probably going to go next, right? Then I don't think Nurse is going before any of those guys.
My thing with Nurse is just like, are we sure he's that good anymore? Like his schemes are looking faulty. They're I mean, like obviously we saw him with an absolutely flawed roster in Toronto, right? Like there's no denying that. I don't know who would be able to coach that roster to any success, but like they were horrible last year and he quit on the team, right? Like, is that the attitude that you kind of want out of your head coach? Like, I know the season was basically over and like that team was just middling by the end of it, but like, that's not an attitude you ever want to see your coach
But,
take.
but at the end of the day, he's a championship coach. Like that's the one thing you can't take away from him. He's a championship coach, and he could still very well be good for Philly, especially if Philly has a good roster as well. That and we know how good he can be with his defensive schemes too.
But we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that in the last couple of years.
But
Like, yeah,
on
you
the
won a championship 5 years ago, but how much has the NBA changed since then? Right? Like
yeah,
what if the team just sucks? You know, like if this team looks bad, they look bad. Like without Harden, they're depleted. There's no like real depth on this team. PJ Tucker's old and he's probably still going to be starting. Tobias Harris, who knows what this guy is? Tyrese Maxey's about to get thrust into a bigger role. We haven't seen him play. Like, are we sure that this team's not going to be trash?
yeah. But this is a hot seat tier list for the coaches. So because of the environment that he's in, I don't think he's in as hot of a seat
Okay.
as he should be. So I'm actually comfortable with tier 2 as well.
I want to go tier 3 still. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, still I would also say tier 3.
Okay.
Okay, so
All
for now, let's just put it tier 3.
okay.
But like,
I I
at the end of the list, like we'll make sure everything is like in order.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Darko. Let's spend like less time talking about some of these coaches just because like screw it, whatever. Darko, new coach for the Raptors. Like we're already 20 minutes into this. Sheesh.
And we only got two
New
coaches.
coaches. To be fair, I think those are two of the more like talking point ones, right? Like, okay, Darko. Darko Rajakovic, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, new head coach of the Toronto Raptors. He walked into this job with a lot of fanfare, a lot of love, people loving his attitude. Everyone was super excited about his demeanor, his attitude, his energy, the Serbian connections. Obviously, everybody wants some piece of the pie when it comes to the Eastern European superstars that might be coming down the pipeline. Um, he's been revered every single place he's gone, from Oklahoma City to Memphis. He's been like talked about really highly by players, by staff, by front office members. But he kind of got into some hot water earlier in the offseason with a lawsuit coming down that name dropped him from the New York Knicks. And now the Knicks are allegedly, or they are suing the Toronto Raptors over alleged theft of like schemes and property from the New York Knicks. The case is actually pretty nuts. There was like 3,000 or something incidents of like the Raptors logging into a third-party platform owned by the Knicks to steal content from them. We won't get into the details here, but it's not pretty. And I think a lot of Raptors fans are kind of looking at Darko right now like, shit, we could have had Jordy Fernandez. Um, this roster also kind of sucks. So they're not going to be good right out of the gate, but I don't think his job's in danger or anything like that. Like
Yeah.
as of late, the press just hasn't been really good surrounding Darko with the lawsuit, with the success that Jordy Fernandez had, with the continued struggles of what looks like is going to be a bad Raptors team. I think he's another tier 3 coach. I think there's going to be a lot of tier 3 coaches here. But yeah, like I think his job is probably safe, but I think that Masai probably still looks at this roster and expects something out of it, even though they still haven't re-signed Pascal Siakam. They still haven't extended Gary Trent Jr. They still haven't done anything with OG Anunoby. Uh, Team's a mess, but I still think that like there's a certain degree of expectation around the roster as it is currently constructed. Um, and with the bad press that has kind of surrounded Darko as of late, and the good press that has surrounded another assistant head coach in Jordy Fernandez, I'm willing to say that like depending on how this year goes, he could go down a tier into like tier 4 or 5. Unproven guy, and I think he belongs at tier 3.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Although, because the Raptors are also a mess, because they could be headed to a rebuild literally anytime soon, although it should have already happened. I think because of that, I don't mind seeing him in tier 2, but I get why but there might be a consensus of him over him being in tier 3, because I still feel he'll be safe. The Raptors, like, they stuck with Nurse even for a bit after the team sucked. And I think they will hold on to a new head coach who has promise, who has been, like you said, revered wherever he has been. So I think he's safe for now, for next season. And then if the roster does eventually get a competitive standard, I think then he's going to be judged. But for now, I would say tier 2, like end of tier 2.
Yeah, I agree. I think no, I agree with
Where do I
I'm
do?
going with tier three as well for Darko because he's a new coach, right? So he doesn't really have like I mean like you guys said, his reputation's been good around the league, but he's at the end of the day, it's still his first head coaching gig. So I think that at least has to put him in tier three because for the Raptors who are probably headed into a rebuild, you know, he they can start fresh whatever direction they head into. Like if they feel like hey maybe Jordi Fernandez is the guy that's better to spearhead the new team, then they can just do that. And it's not like Darko's like has an established name already in the NBA as a head coach. So it's going to be easy for Masai Ujiri just to get a new coach right like that. So I think he's tier three more than tier two.
Okay. Diego?
Yeah, I think it's tier three.
Okay,
Pretty
cool.
self-explanatory. We touched on it a little bit like last week or 2 weeks ago, right? About how there's nothing really, it's like there's nothing really crazy to expect. Like you can't expect them to be bad, you can't expect them to be great. So yeah, smack down in the middle.
Sweet. Yeah. I think like what Aaron said does have a lot of validity though. Like with some of these new hires, you kind of do need to look at like what the expectations are for that team. Like Nurse and Vogel, I think it's squarely in tier 3 just because it's like there are more winning expectations with those squads, but with the Raptors, it's like there's a good chance they just rebuild anyways. And like if Darko's the coach for the long term in the rebuild, I think that that's potentially what the Raptors are preparing for. So even if it does go wrong, the expectation is that it maybe goes wrong, but who's to say? Yeah, we'll leave it tier 3 for now. Maybe we'll change that up later. Steve Kerr, Golden State Warriors. Mike, you want to start us off?
Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's got the legacy thing going for him. Like he's already led them to four titles. So I get that the team wants to obviously is competing for a title every single year as long as Steph Curry's there. And obviously they made the move for Chris Paul solely for that reason. And while the fit is a little bit questionable, he's got a lot of decisions to make in terms of handling those egos, handling Chris Paul's ego. How is he gonna you know address like if Chris Paul is going to the bench or not? Like these are things that he has to do. He has to decide on heading into this season, and that's just the first part of it. Like it's gonna be like it's gonna be a long season for Steve Kerr, I think, because he's got a lot to work on in terms of incorporating Chris Paul into his system. How he's gonna use him? Is he gonna start him every single game, or are they gonna go small every single game, or are they gonna have like a conversation in terms of bringing him, starting him, or bringing him off the bench depending on the matchup? A lot of things like that are going to be under Steve Kerr's plate. But given that he's still a four-time NBA champion coach, like you just can't you know you just can't put that aside. And I mean, we're not gonna put him in the first tier list, but he's probably like at tier two. Nothing really to worry about unless like the season goes completely south. I mean, Golden State misses the playoffs or whatever. But yeah, his job is completely safe, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like as long as the Steph, Clay, Drake are there, I don't see Kerr going anywhere.
Mhm.
I do think though that because this is like the tail end of their careers, you could say that Steve has more of a hot seat now, especially that we had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of bad stuff going on last year, like with the Draymond and Poole drama, Warriors falling to the Lakers in the playoffs, all that. There's still a lot of expectations, of course, because they still got a great roster. They still got Steph Curry, and they're still going to compete for a championship. But yeah, I think because of Steve Kerr's history, his championship pedigree, realistically he's not going anywhere.
I just want to point out that Mike is already blaming the potential failure of the Golden State Warriors season on Chris Paul's ego. Um, Average Golden State Warriors fan right
When
there.
did when did I blame him?
Already, like the
I'm just pointing it
hypothetical
out.
failure
You
of
you
the
low key
things that could
mentioned,
go wrong for the Golden State Warriors starts and ends with Chris Paul's ego.
Because it's an issue. What do you mean? It's a real issue they have to address.
Unbelievable, this guy. Um, but yeah, yeah, I'd put him firmly in tier two. I don't think that he's tier
yeah,
one. I don't think like, I mean, we saw it with Team USA. He's not like one of the best coaches in the world, right? Like he's not Greg Popovich. He's not Eric Spoelstra. He's
No, he's not
great. Like don't
even
get me
winning
wrong,
the
but like
world stage.
that's a tier two coach.
Aaron,
Yeah, I mean,
do this.
as it is painful to admit that he's a tier 2 coach, but I feel like with after this season, both him and Clay Thompson should, be on their way out, because thanks for the memories, but it's time to say goodbye. Like we saw he's not good anymore. We saw, bro, JB Bickerstaff could have coached a two big man lineup, but Steve Kerr couldn't for Team USA. Come on. I think there's only so much he can evolve. Like the whole system that he had won them four titles. Three, like the last one was not as okay. Whatever. Four NBA titles. It got him four
What
NBA titles, but
were you gonna say?
I don't think that's flying anymore.
What's about the last
Put him
one?
in tier two for now, but yeah, he should be on thin ice.
Talk about the last one. What was the last one?
Lucky championship.
Mickey Mouse.
How? How?
Okay, let's move on.
How was it lucky? They beat a more favored Boston team. How was that lucky?
No, he got bailed out by Steph Curry's greatness. That's what I mean.
Okay, okay. Say it that way. Don't say lucky.
Lucky for Steve Kerr, he was just there.
Mike has no problem with you saying that anymore. Once you talked about Steph Curry's greatness,
Doesn't want to hear it. Okay, this one. I feel like this next one's gonna be pretty quick. Is that Wes Unseld?
yeah,
Yeah, who cares?
yeah,
Tier
yeah.
5, bro. Sorry, dog. Your team sucks. You've done nothing for the Wizards. No one cares. I'm sure a lot of people don't know who you are.
I'm
You're,
sure Wizards fans don't even.
bro, you are a nepo baby. It's just because your dad's the best player the Wizards had. Okay, like Wes Unseld Jr. I'm sorry, bro. That's tier 5. Like you're out. You're gone.
Best player the
Jordan
Wizards
Poole is gonna get you fired. That's crazy. How does that feel?
Jordan Poole and Kuz taking turns.
They're just gonna be chucking, bro. They're gonna chuck their way to 17 wins, and Wes Unseld is gone. Bye bye. Next. All right, who's that? Is that Adrian Griffin? Actually, any debate there? Are we good with Unseld in tier 5?
Yeah, we're good with that.
No
All right.
debate.
Yeah.
Say no more. All right, Adrian Griffin, new coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, formerly a Toronto Raptors assistant. I think that this job is also one of the ones that are predicated upon winning a championship, right? Like the Giannis conversations have ramped up this like in the past like couple weeks. It really feels like this is a win or die situation. He is a new head coach, but I feel like he's a new head coach in the same stream as like Frank Vogel, where it's like, dude, you have to win. Like we don't know how long we have with Giannis Antetokounmpo, like the best player, one of the
That's the
best
thing.
players in the world.
There's the pressure of Giannis, like this offseason, saying that he's not exactly committed to staying with Milwaukee. It's gonna depend on how like their team's gonna be built,
Yeah.
on how their potential future is gonna look like. So that also does add pressure to him.
Yeah, and who knows about this team's future, right? Like this team's old. I've had issues with them like all off season. I think that like re-signing Brook Lopez was obviously a must, but you're not getting any younger. Like Marjan Beauchamp, like he looks like a decent wing, I guess, and like they got what Ty Washington, but like who cares? They didn't make any moves this offseason. They just re-signed guys to an obviously strong core, right? And there's a like they needed to get out of the Holzer era and move on to a new coach. But if they're not able to win a championship, another one with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Giannis, like if the talks only ramp up about him wanting to potentially leave Milwaukee, they'll do anything they can, I feel, as an organization to make sure that they can put themselves in the best position to win. And if that's maybe getting rid of Adrian Griffin after 1 year, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm comfortable putting him in like tier 4.
I'm going 3, I think, for now still. But again, like it's like 3 near near Vogel.
Yeah, I agree. Like, tier 3 seems like the right spot for him. Like it's just because of the expectations to win. That puts him in the same spot as Frank Vogel, even probably. No, yeah, just Frank Vogel.
Yeah. Like Vogel, Nurse, and Griffin. Like those are the 3 new head coaches where it's like, dude, you've got superstars and you have extremely high expectations. Right? So like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's scary. I think it's scary. Like Adrian Griffin's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders with a roster that's aging and a superstar that is alluded to potentially leaving the city.
But still a really good core at the end of the day.
Of
Still
course.
very high. Still championship expectations at the end of the day. And because he's a first year coach, I think he's in as hot of a seat as anyone else, really. So
Yeah.
I'd put him in tier 4. You guys go to 3.
I'm going 3. 3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mike?
Okay.
I would also say 3.
Yeah, tier 3.
Okay, cool.
All right.
All right. Willie Green. I don't really want to spend too much time on Willie Green, but I think he's tier 4. I just think that the Pels, it's just been such a messy run. And obviously the biggest issue with the Pels has been around Zion Williamson's health. But if they're not able to actually put it together and, make the dance and make some noise in the playoffs and be a team that actually, fulfills the expectations that we've given to them, by we, I mean me, the expectations we've given them over the past couple years. I think that his head's on the chopping block. I think he's tier 4.
This one is
Yeah.
definitely tier 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Aaron?
Yeah, I also think with what he's got, he did his best. It's not his fault that Zion can't play, but unfortunately, he's going to be a
Yep.
casualty.
It's
Cool.
tough out there.
All right. Steve Clifford, Charlotte Hornets. Buddy. You shouldn't
5.
even be here. You've been fired by the organization before. You're gonna get fired again. You're tier 5. Like, I'm sorry, man. You're out.
I don't think there's any explaining
Like,
needs to be done.
I still can't believe they moved on from Borrego. I'm sorry. Like you had like 3 consecutive years of doing better of like improving your record. And then last year, obviously, there's other situations that fed into it between Miles Bridges not playing the entire year and LaMelo being in and out of the lineup from injuries. But like your team sucked. I think it was like one of the most unwatchable teams in the entire NBA last year. Like it was horrendous. I didn't want to watch any of your games. And God knows what's happening in Charlotte right now between like Kai Jones. What's this? Like, why is he doing my namesake like that, bro? What is Kai Jones doing? Calling out his players like Clifford, bro. You got to rein these guys in. Every single person on this team is going through something. And like Kelly Oubre is handsome, too handsome. Gordon Hayward's just injured all the time. LaMelo is not the smartest player. And he's always injured. Miles, just awful, bad person.
Brandon Miller.
Brandon Miller, who?
Oh, you're right.
Who's that?
You're right.
Yeah, legit. Like, I think if Brandon Miller isn't Like if he plays like we saw him in summer league, bro, Clifford's gone in a week. I'm telling you, man. Like he's gonna be gone so quick. Like this guy's he's I think he's out. He's out. Like you've been fired before, it's gonna happen again, and you have new ownership. They want to make moves. They want things to happen to an organization that hasn't seen anything happen in God knows how long.
Hmm.
And Clifford's just another remnant, another relic of like a lost era that wasn't even good. We
Okay.
good with tier 5? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
We are all good
Yeah,
with tier five.
I think the only way he potentially escapes tier 5 is that he goes the whole year undefeated and every single player is able to avoid being arrested. I think that's the only way he stays
Yeah. I don't know,
employed.
man. He's gonna have to.
Undefeated is crazy.
Yeah, he has
It
to
ain't
save
looking
James
good,
Booknight.
buddy. No, he's
Aaron,
already done by the first game. Then
It's
he's
over,
ruining
bro.
James Booknight's career.
It's over, man.
I don't disrespect my legendary Pokemon, bro.
Yeah, Clifford, bro. Just let it go. It's done.
Yeah, it's
All right.
easy five.
Next up, Monty Williams, new head coach of the Detroit Pistons. Unlike the other new head coaches that we have in tier 3 right now, I think that Monty's actually in tier 2 considering the contract that was given to him. Like that is an insane contract. I think that Detroit knows that they're probably not going to get a head coach better than Monty Williams. He's obviously got a decent amount of like prestige, having taken the Phoenix Suns to the NBA Finals. Like he's a good head coach by all means, and he got a bag and a half. And I don't think the Pistons are really going to like fire a guy who they just paid that much money. Um, and like again, this is a team that probably wants to try to win or at least like contend for the play-in, but I don't think they'll be shocked if they don't make the play-in. Like I don't think they'll be shocked if they're picking in the lottery again, right? Like Monty seems safe to me. I have like no issue putting him in tier 2.
Yeah, I think Detroit's smart for like locking him in for the franchise. Like, yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's a good coach. I believe he's a great coach, and he's also a great player coach. So yeah, I mean Detroit's also a young, still developing team. They have a lot of room for improvement, and I think Monty's going to be part of like the reason why they gave him that contract was because they want him to be a part of that growth, part of that development.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like we saw with the Suns, he's a good floor raiser, and that's a young team, so he can definitely be a tier 2 guy for now. And depending on whether he can actually become a ceiling raiser is what will determine where he stays in the coming seasons.
Cool. Tier 2?
Yep.
Tier two.
Cool.
Mike, you go to tier two?
yeah, tier 2 makes sense.
Okay, who's that? Is that Rick Carlisle?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Oof. All right. Rick Carlisle's an interesting one. I think that the Pacers are a team that is definitely on the upswing right now, right? Like they're making moves to surround Tyrese Halliburton with players that kind of fit the scheme, like that are going to be like one of the most like they're pairing him with absolute threats in the full court, right? Like this is going to be a fast team. They're going to be fun to watch, and Tyrese Halliburton looks like a bona fide star. Um, I think that there are legit expectations on Carlisle's plate to take them at least to the playoffs. Like this cannot be a team that misses the play-in, right?
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
Play in, yeah. Playoffs, no.
I think
I
they have to at least get the 8 seed.
have to make the playoffs.
I think they should win the play-in, right? Like
Playoff
the East
next
is
year.
weak, man.
That's fair. But again, still super young guys. So yeah, I would say playoffs next year, but this year they compete in the play-in.
see, you said they should finish at least 8th. Last season the Bulls, Raptors, Hawks all finished above them, and I still think that's not changing. At most they leapfrog the Bulls. I still think the Raptors, if they do keep whatever, like whoever's on this team right now, potentially could outdo the Pacers. So at most, they're going to just be a play-in team and like a 9 or a 10 seed. So if I don't know what they're expecting from him, but it would be silly to have expectations from this roster, what it is now.
Yeah, I agree with Aaron. I think, like, I mean, I think Carlisle. I think they're gonna have a lot more patience with Carlisle because he's a championship coach. Like, he has a lot of experience under his belt, and he's going to be someone who's going to help this team grow and develop into becoming a winning team. Like, I think he's in there for the long term, which is why they hired him in the first place, knowing that you know this rebuild in Indiana is going to take a while. Plus, it's really just, I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is just pretty much the only like real star there on the team. Like, obviously you got a lot other pieces like Mathurin, who's probably going to be very good in a couple of years. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just really a Tyrese Halliburton team from this point, and their ceiling isn't that high. Like the teams that Aaron mentioned, I can see them still being better. At the end of the day, even though Chicago's pretty cooked, they still have a little bit more talent on that team, and I think that's still going to put them above Indiana.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I just
I honestly want to put him in tier two,
no, absolutely not.
high tier three, low tier two.
I'm putting him tier 3.
I agree with
Yeah.
Diego.
No, I don't know. I feel like the Pacers are a team that wants to make some noise. I'm sorry, you don't sign Miles Turner to that extension, considering it's only a 3-year extension with a player option. Like, you don't do that unless you want to win in that window. And if Carlisle's not the guy to take you to the next step in that window, like, this isn't a free agent destination, right? You need to win with the core that is given. And if they're not able to do that, if they're not able to like qualify for the playoffs through the play-in, like, I think that it's a failure, right? Like, this is a team that, like, I know they're young, but Tyrese looks ready to take that next step. Like, this guy wants to win, man. And like, he signed an extension. Like, they signed him to a 5-year extension, the rookie max, which is huge. But like, this guy's an all-star. You need to do something with him. And like, they're starting to actually develop the core around him.
They should make the playoffs now.
Yeah.
A little early.
Yes, absolutely I do. Miles Turner is great. Like, how much longer do you have Miles Turner? Right? Like, you don't sign an extension like that. You don't sign him to an extension like that unless you see yourself contending within that window. And
Look,
like, that needs to start now.
As long as they look better this year and they compete and they make the play in and actually compete in the play in, like, I don't think that's a bad season. I genuinely don't think it's a bad season for them.
I don't think so either, but like, I
would say that's a lot to look forward to. Like, in
yeah,
the
but
next
like if he doesn't make the play-in, if he gets eliminated in like the play-in as like a 10 seed, if they play one game, like, what development is that? Like, how much growth is that? What we've seen from like these coaches that have really taken their teams to like the next step, who started off as like these floor raising coaches, guys like Taylor Jenkins, right? What we've seen from them is that they've taken their teams to the playoffs with teams that don't necessarily belong there, right? And from there, like, yeah, they lost in the first round, but they got that development. They learned what it is like to be in those high pressure situations. And how much longer can we go in Indiana without having that? Like, they need that now. Like, they need to get like eliminated in the first round or some shit. Like, not a single guy in this roster understands playoff basketball, and they can't go without it anymore. And like, the only person that they can point to, considering it's such a young team that looks like they're ready to take the next step, like, the person that they can point to is Carlisle. If they don't make the first round of the playoffs, I'm sorry, like, kill him, like, get him out.
Okay, but
If they get eliminated in the play-in, you're
The,
saying
yeah,
they should fire Rick
yeah,
Carlisle.
yes,
Nah, I don't
yeah,
think so.
But
bro.
that's
I don't think so.
eliminated
What?
in the
Sorry, one game of the
they
play-in
firing
is not
Carlisle.
enough.
I
It's
don't see
not.
them firing.
You're not taking the next step towards developing these guys with one high pressure game. You need to be there. Like,
see, Kai, I don't disagree with whatever you're saying, but I think you're you're not you're not looking at what the roster is. Like, you look at that roster and you tell me that's a playoff roster.
Yeah, no.
it's
No,
it's it's a team that can make it through the play-in, a
I mean,
hundred percent.
no. Okay,
it's a
And
listen.
play-in team. Like they're probably going to be better than the Raptors, I think, this
Meet.
season.
That's what I think too.
Then I don't know what's going to happen to Atlanta. That's a wild card.
No one knows what the Bulls are. Like, I think
But
this is absolutely a team that should get like the eighth, like not necessarily the eighth seed in the regular season, but like I think they should be able to lose in the first round.
That's my thing. Like, I don't
uh,
think they're better than the Hawks, who I would say is like the 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 final team that's going to make the playoffs from the East. And
mm,
like, I would say the Hawks are considerably better than the Pacers, and they have like a
absolutely,
they have a they have an actual duo there. Here it's just Tyrese, who is an all-star, like you said, who wants to win, but I want the Lakers to three-peat, man. That the want is not enough. Like, you need to be realistic here.
Yeah, but like realistically, is Carlisle the guy then? Like, I don't know. It's just
he could be.
like
Like I'd say, give him
like
another
how can you
year.
waste another year?
It's
I
not a waste.
It
yeah, I
is.
mean,
What are you
it's
getting from that?
Getting to the play-in is not a waste.
What are you getting from that?
like I don't know. Like, making the play-in, I think it's a step. Like they can. That's still whatever. If even if it's just one game, it's still a high pressure game.
and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and the Miles Turner contract that you mentioned, I don't think they did that because they wanted to. I think that's the most they could get him to sign for, because like you said, it's not a free agent destination, so it's not like they had a lot on the plate to keep him long term. So this is the most he probably signed for. And if he's delusional enough to think that 2 year window, not counting the player option year, that 2 year window is going to see him actually make some noise in the playoffs, then that's on him. So I I am okay with seeing him in tier 3 for now, but
Oh, I'm tier 3.
but I would still say tier 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
good at it.
I go with tier 2 as well.
You're all going tier 2? All right, fine. Let's put him in tier 2. Whatever. Whatever, man. The guy's, I don't know. He's so mid,
All right,
dude.
next is Jason Kidd.
Jason Kidd. Oh, buddy, dude, tier 4. I'm sorry. Like, you better win. You better
Yeah,
do something,
Yeah, you
bro.
can't have another season
you
like
got Kyrie, man.
I want to put him tier 5
You got
sometimes.
Kyrie.
I
Low
can see
key,
tier
I
5. I
don't
can
know. I
see
think
tier
it's
5.
tier 5. Yeah,
Kids,
I can
kids,
see it. 'Cause
kids not. He's not good, dude. He's not good. Like,
proving my point.
he
Tier
sucked in
5.
Milwaukee. He legit ruined like a year of Giannis's development. Like, dude got stormed out of Milwaukee, and then for some reason he ends up back with Dallas. Last year he looked pathetic. He sounded stupid in press conferences. Like, I know, like Luca's touting his praises, but that team was a joke. That team sucked. And I know it's badly built, but like he's gonna die if they're bad. It's gone.
Listing more and more reasons why he's tier 5.
You know what?
yeah.
I think he's tier 5 too, and the only reason why he's still there is because he just wants that severance pay. Like, any if eh, there's no logical reason for somebody to stay in that situation, like especially with what Cuban's doing. They're not building a championship team there with Luca and Kyrie, so I think he's going to stick until that severance hits. But yeah, tier 5. He's happy to be
I'm
tier
good with
5.
Yeah, I'm good with tier 5.
Okay.
Mike, you good with tier 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tier 5 is
Go on, Popovich.
Okay, tier 1. Don't even need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's go. Next,
Um,
Self-explanatory.
next. Um, Mike Brown. Mike Brown's interesting.
Oh,
I mean,
good.
what a huge jump for him. I'm so happy. I'm so happy Mike Brown's having this success. I love his energy. I knew the Kings were gonna be good. I knew he was the right guy for the job. The second there was like that like preseason press conference where he was like,
You know what? You know what?
bro,
This
the
is
second
you're right about. This is one thing you're right about.
one thing I'm right about. Get out of here, bro. Bro said Russ was gonna be a defensive stopper last year. What are we
He
talking?
was in the playoffs.
What are we doing
He was in
here?
the
What
playoffs.
are we doing?
He was in the playoffs. I don't care. Don't at me.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I want to put Mike Brown tier two. I think that like the Kings have expectations and like they should be a good team, but they're also a team that has like a target on their back, right? Like you can only surprise people once, and like the people know who the Kings are now, but they've only improved. I think that this team's going to be legit. I think that Mike Brown is like very much solidified himself as like a good coach. I know they did kind of flame out against the Golden State Warriors. They did get exposed for their flaws, but I
Went
don't
to
think it
seven.
was. Hmm?
It went to seven though. That was impressive.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
They could have won the series.
look, he's got the right energy for that team, and I think that he's the perfect fit in Sacramento. And
Shut up.
I would be completely shocked if they ever did anything to let go of him.
Yeah, I wanna put him in tier one, but you're right. You're right. There are expectations for this team, and you can only shock people once. So I put him higher tier two.
Okay, you're
Yeah,
good with that?
yeah, I agree. He's tier two. Like not single-handedly, but he was a big reason why the whole situation there changed. The whole vibes have changed. The expectations have changed, and he's a major reason. So I think they see what he can do, and I'm sure Vivek's more than happy to keep him for the long term.
Sweet. All right, Joey Maz.
Oh,
Um,
Mozzarella.
good.
He's a confusing one. I think like I think there's a conversation to put him tier 5, but I still think he's tier 4. They did really beef up their bench this season, and like one of the biggest issues the Celtics had was, this is weird, but their coaching depth, right? Like he was thrust into a situation where he didn't belong. Like he was never supposed to be the head coach of that team, and there was no one on the bench to really help him. Right? Like if Will Hardy was still there, obviously he probably would have been the head coach. But after Ime Udoka left, like that bench was ridiculously depleted. So this offseason, they actually went out and brought in a ton, like a few more coaches. They got Sam Cassell, they got Phil Pressey, and they got Charles Lee. Three guys with like legit experience behind benches. So I think that I think that his job's on the line, right? Like this is obviously a Celtics team that needs to win, that needs to actually like cross that last hurdle and not be just chokers forever. They need to get that what is it, 18th title before the Lakers do. Is that it? Is that the number? um, Shout out Winning Time, man. Great show, by the way. I'm heartbroken. That's over, man. But yeah, I don't think that Joey Maz is the right guy for the job, but I think that Brad Stevens and the Celtics ownership are finally giving him the right staff to work with him so he can become the right man for the job. But I think that like if he continually shows that he's not making the right decisions throughout the course of a game, if the Celtics struggle at all, and I think that there's a good chance that they do, considering Marcus Smart is gone, KP is dealing with like plantar fasciitis. We don't know how this team is going to look at the outset of this season. Um, if they don't look good, I think he's gone. But I think that he's still like tier 4. Like I think that there's more of a chance he gets fired at the end of this year.
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
I agree with that. Yeah.
He's
W take. W take.
listen, there's only so many seasons you can start as the absolute betting favorite and then not win. So if that happens again, Sam Cassell's taking his job as he should.
I feel like every year as well, we're seeing the Celtics like make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or the finals. Like
Yeah.
they're always getting far, but they just never win.
Yeah.
They
I don't
never
know.
win it.
Brad
And I think
Stevens should just pull a Pat Riley and just come back downstairs.
That's true.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
bro, what are we doing?
yeah,
I
Yeah.
don't
He's
know.
gonna be an easy scapegoat too. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the
easy
Celtics
scapegoat.
have
They were
done.
already scapegoating him last season.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they made the right choice bringing him back, right? Like I don't think that you should just like toss away coaches like willy nilly like that. Like there's been way too much turnaround on that bench, and like bringing him back and actually supporting him and giving him guys to talk to and like a good sounding board and a good staff around him. I think that was the right call. But he's on a short leash,
Yeah. All
so
right.
I'm tier
Joey,
four.
you are tier four. You are absolute tier four.
Okay,
You can still show us what he's got next season.
who we got? Is that Tibbs?
Yeah.
Oof.
Ah,
Yes, sir.
Tibbs. I don't know. We should probably speed this up, but I'm saying Tibbs tier oh god, I want to put him 4.
I'm putting him for yeah.
I'm good at
But
putting him.
it's New York, man. It's New York, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
The thing
there's
is,
it's
I would have
really self.
I would have agreed for tier 4 if they didn't beat the Cavs last year. But because of
Yeah.
that, I am more than happy to see him tier 3.
Yeah. Like he's great. I think that he's like the right energy that New York needs, but I mean, it's New York, man.
But again, like imagine New York falls short, like they
Yeah,
make the playoffs, but they just get bounced in the first round, like that because that's already like worse than they were last season.
Yeah. If they
I
lose
could
to the Hawks, bro, like
I
it's
could easily see him getting fired.
yeah.
I mean
I
the Knicks have had like some like alternating seasons, right? Like they're
mhm.
good, then they're not, then they're good.
Yeah,
You're
just
supposed to be good this year for Tibbs to be like in that, to have his job pretty much still secure.
and
That's
I could see the Knicks like falling short.
Yeah,
Like it's very possible.
it's the Knicks.
It's the Knicks.
That's what
Yeah,
they do.
that's why I want to put him 2-4.
it all depends on Julius Randle, to be honest.
Yeah.
There you go. That's all I needed. I heard Julius Randle. I'm putting him tier 4.
Yeah, I'm okay with tier 4. I had them tier 3 before, but like I don't know. It just feels like a tier 4 thing where it's like I think that him making the second round is actually like yeah, it's great. Like I think that it's a two like it's a double-edged sword for Tibbs. Where like now Knicks fans, because they're Knicks fans, are gonna have more expectations than ever. So if you don't kind of get there, and there's a good chance they don't get there because they're the Knicks, then Tibbs is going to be gone. But
Yeah.
like Aaron said, I think that there is kind of like more of a safety net there just because he actually did take them to the next round. It's like the Maple Leafs, like it's like Sheldon Keefe should have gotten fired, but whatever. It's not a hockey. We'll save it for the hockey podcast. All right. Quinn Snyder, Atlanta Hawks. He got a 5-year extension after they brought him in the middle of last season. I'm high on Quinn Snyder. I think he's a great head coach, but I think that the Hawks are a weird team.
The Hawks are just not a great team. That's why.
They're just confusing. Like I don't think that they're good enough to like actually contend, but I think that there's an expectation within the organization that they are going to contend.
I see them capable of making the Eastern Conference Finals, but I don't like that's a low chance. Like I think second round is like where they're gonna end up again, and they're gonna get bounced in the second round.
Even then, like I think that if he's unable to figure out the DeJounte Murray and Trae Young pairing, like that's not going to be good. The front
That's
office won't
hard.
be happy with that, huh?
Yeah, it's hard to blame him for that.
Yeah, it's a bad match. I don't get
Like
it.
he's a good coach, and like in Utah, we've seen it. He's
Yeah.
consistently a good coach. But again, this Hawks team is just so weird. It's hard to put a finger on it. Like, I would just put him in tier 3, to be honest.
See, because of that extension, because of that 5-year extension, because he's the biggest coaching name they've had,
Mhm.
I don't know, in the last whatever years. And like considering all of that, I think he's still tier 2 because like the fit, if it doesn't work out, that's not on him. He was That's what he was given. So I think they're more likely to make changes to that roster than actually get rid of Snyder himself.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like he reminds me a little bit of Nick Nurse's situation because it's not his fault. It was given to him, as Aaron said. And if they ever do kickstart some kind of rebuild or retool this roster around Trey Young, then that's when his job, his like it's gonna start ticking for him. But I don't think at this point
Yeah.
they're gonna have to figure out other ways to retool or rebuild this roster before they consider firing this guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Snyder feels like a huge get for the Hawks, right? It's like Monty Williams. Like that's huge that they got him. Like the Pistons got him. I think it's massive that the Hawks managed to land Quinn Snyder. Like if Duda just waited like a couple more months, I think that he would have been like the top name on coaching hire like lists. Like I think that every single team that fired a head coach would have been gunning for Quinn Snyder. So on one hand, like Quinn, buddy, what are you doing? Um, you could have been in Milwaukee, you could have been in Phoenix, but whatever, I guess. Have fun at Atlanta. I think that it's a massive get for them to have gotten Quinn Snyder, and I'm very comfortable putting him in tier 2 because I think he's one of the best coaches in the league.
Mm.
Yeah.
Tier 2 he is.
Cool. Jacques Vaughn. The Nets, dude. The Nets are odd. I just they're
Ah,
not they're not gonna be good, right? Like I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
But they're expecting to, right? With Mikal Bridges in there, I think they still have expectations
I
with that team.
hope not.
I think they do because I don't know. They honestly should be selling all of whoever, like Royce
Yeah.
O'Neal. Royce O'Neal can go. Who else do I have there on there? Dorian Finney-Smith can go. Like these are guys who can be
see, I
better on
thought we
other
would have
teams.
let go of them already.
Yeah, so I don't know. This is a confusing team, so I don't know what
Like
they
they're
expect with Vaughn.
they're not good at all. Like Claxton's good, McHale's good, but like, dude, if you're trotting out a backcourt of what Spencer Dinwiddie and I guess it's gonna be Cam Thomas, unless you play like McHale at the 2 and then Cam Johnson at the 3, like, oh, sorry, Ben Simmons. My
Oh,
bad.
I
I
was
forgot about
waiting.
him.
I was waiting.
Oh, actually, no. We're gonna see a Ben Simmons renaissance here. So,
so they're gonna
according
be
to his
good.
according to his off-season workout vids, as usual. He's
But
ready to shock the world. What do you say today? I think he said like, "Oh yeah, I owe it to my fans to like really show off this year." Bro,
To
what
who?
fans?
Yeah. Who?
hey, I'm right here.
Who are you talking to,
I'm
bro?
right
He's
here.
right. He's right.
um, yeah, Jacques Vaughn's confusing. Like he just doesn't feel that important. I'm willing to put him tier 3.
Yeah, I don't see him getting fired though. Like no matter
Yeah,
how bad the Nets are, like I don't think he's gonna get fired.
good vibes guy
Yeah, he's a
Good
by
great
all
vibes,
vibes,
man.
accounts.
great vibes guy. I still remember like for like remember all the drama they had last season. He
The
managed
Nets
to
drama? Which one, bro?
the one early in the season, and then like Kyrie decided. I mean, they didn't trade Kyrie until like later, right? Remember when the Nets were on a roll?
Yeah,
They were on a crazy winning streak after they hired Vaughn.
yeah.
He was the vibes guy, and then I saw like posts on social media about him getting them together, like for Katie's birthday or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something along those lines. And
Yeah.
they're all just having a great time. I don't know.
He feels like the right guy to like steer them through a potential rebuild or through like whatever they think is going to be contending, right? Like
Yeah.
he feels like the right guy for either path there. Like I don't know who else they would want in Brooklyn.
Unless I don't think they're getting serious anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they think they're
They're,
serious.
they're safe with keeping him for sure.
Yeah, I mean like what they got in like those in the 2020 bubble under Jacques Vaughn was like awesome, right? Like I think that that's what the Nets want this season. Like they need to just be a happy team again, bro. Like that team is depressing. I think that they just need like a vibes rehabilitation. They need a facelift, and Jacques Vaughn kind of just seems like that guy.
And
I'm
he
willing,
gave them that. Like right after they fired Nash,
yeah.
he gave them that.
And like now, like they just need some modicum of stability there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think they just want with that's gone in the past couple of seasons with the Nets. I think they want to be as drama free as possible, and so they'll just stick with him at least
Yeah.
another season without any problem. So yeah, tier
Yeah,
three.
It sounds like we're saying tier two.
I'm good with two.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we can do tier two. I think.
I'm okay with two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron's like, oh,
Okay, all right, cool. Who's next? Is that Jamal Mosley?
Yeah.
it's
Mike,
yeah.
you want to talk about your Magic or what?
I'll save it, man. I'll save it. But
Okay, all
this
right.
Magic team is gonna be serious, man. They're better than the Pacers. I'll tell you that.
What if they're not?
Oh,
Like, what if they're not serious, right? Like, what if they suck again?
They're going to be like. I mean, like the latter half of the season showed it already. Franz Wagner had a huge FIBA World Cup. Then Paulo Banquero also had a huge FIBA World Cup. So
Mm,
Huge.
tried to make it stand.
huge for Paolo.
Relax on
Mm.
huge. He fooled us.
Italy's
But
biggest enemy.
he's a stud, man. He's an absolute stud. I think he could be one of the. He could.
He's great.
Yeah, he could be eventually develop into number one guy on a serious playoff team. I wouldn't go as much as a championship
Okay,
team, but
good. I was getting scared. Um,
yeah,
yeah, no, I mean it's Jamal Mosley. It's the
Yeah.
Magic. Like, who knows where this team is going to be? I think that they're still like somewhat unserious, but like that's a tier 3 head coach, I'd say, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it could go either way depending on how. Yeah,
Yeah.
how.
How the season goes, yeah.
Okay, let's go. Next one. Ty Lue, bro.
Tyrone Lue.
I want to put Ty.
Oh,
We had
boy.
we had Ty Lue tier 1 last year.
Boy.
Bro, I'm ready to put him tier 4. Straight up, like
Oh my man.
how many years of this Clippers BS do we have to walk through? Like, how many times do I have to gaslight myself into saying, like, this is it? This is when they do it. How often do I have to gaslight myself into like believing that
Look, man,
like
I'm
the
gaslighting
most is gonna
myself
be made
one
with
more time.
huh?
I'm gaslighting myself one more time.
Yeah, like I'll do it one last time, but that
Last
dude's
year,
tier
you wanna
4.
put
If it doesn't work
Tier
out, he's gone.
4. Yeah. This it's not even his fault necessarily. Like the amount of games Kawhi and PG miss is totally not his fault.
Yeah. It's
But yeah, it's just it's a common trend that's been happening with this team. It's like they gotta win something.
so tiring.
Otherwise, blow up this core, blow up this team, get a new coach. Like if they fall short again, Ty Lue's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah. I don't know. Like he didn't like I think the reason we put him tier 1 last year is like he made the most out of like unlike the last stretch run of the 2021-22 season. Like he was awesome. He was turning role players into like legitimate contributors. He got the team to like make the playoffs, I think, or like the play in despite having like
No,
Kawhi and PG
yeah.
out for like most of the year. Like you saw massive upswings from guys like Nick Batum, Luke Kennard, Norman Powell, Robert Covington. Like they were awesome near the end of the year. So we're like, look at him. Like he can turn these guys into legitimate contributors, even though they're kind of mid. And we just didn't see that last year, I feel. Right? Like obviously they dealt with injury issues from the two obvious ones to like Norman Powell missing a good chunk of the year. But
I still do think he's a good coach though.
like this is it, dude. This
This
is all you
last
get.
chance of the Clippers, I think.
I think so.
But it isn't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So he has like 2 years left on his contract, including this upcoming season. I think they just let it run down. They just let him run it down and then go from there, because even if they do end up actually rebuilding like everybody seems like they want them to do, he's still a good coach to have. Like he was a good coach for the young Cavs team. So I think he
Mhm.
can be a decent coach for the Clippers team, whether they are contending or rebuilding. But I think at the end of next season, they should just call it
Yeah.
quits. Like nothing
Yeah.
significant happened.
I just think like he is in trouble, right? Like I understand wanting to play out his contract, but the new Clippers arena opens up at the start of next season, right? And if this team still sucks like next year, I think that they'll want to go into that new building with a fresh start, right? And I
Mm.
think that that also comes with the coaching staff. Like this is an owner that wants to win, and so far they haven't gotten that, and obviously it's because your stars are injured, but like what can you do about those two guys? Like you're entering a new arena, you're going to want them on your team, and if those and if those two, like, you need them on your team, you need star power, you need to bring people in. And no one's coming to games for Ty Lue. Like no one's going to give a shit if he's behind the bench or not when they go to watch their game in the new arena. And I think that he's expendable in that sort of way, right? Like they'll want a fresh start if they suck again next year. And there's a good chance they do because it's the Clippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not his fault. Like I get it's not his
Yeah.
fault, but all gonna be like it's just gonna be as a result of the team wanting to clean house,
Yeah.
and
And I
that's it.
think that there's a good chance they do. Like that's the thing. Like I think that like they want a clean slate to a certain extent.
We weren't even sure if they were gonna run it back this year
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
like many rumors about them already doing already cleaning house this season.
Yeah.
but I
But yeah,
think he's still
they're
gonna.
gonna run it back one more time, and I think
But,
after that it's a fresh start.
yeah, but I think this isn't going to be like an indictment on his, on his coaching. I think he's still going to be one of the hotter names in the coaching market should he become
100%.
available.
Yeah,
As
we'll
he
see him in Charlotte next year.
should. I
Not the Wizards.
love Tyler. Aside from his like obsession with Mook,
Yeah, I don't know. I want to put him. I want to put him tier 4.
yeah, I'm good at tier 4 just
Aaron,
because it's on
Yeah,
the
I
Clippers.
can I can
Aaron, you
see
sound
the
like you're tier
tier
3.
4, so I have no objection to that.
Okay, let's do it.
Great coach in tier 4,
Oh, is that Jim Boylan?
Billy Donovan.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Billy Donovan's interesting. I mean, the Chicago Bulls are just weird. They're a messy team. They're not going anywhere. They're not winning anytime soon. They suck.
Yes, sir.
What's this?
Tier 5.
Let's do it. Put him in. Put him in,
Tier
bro.
5, man.
See,
Just like
that's the
that.
thing though. Like
Damn.
when Lonzo was healthy, they looked weren't they like the best team in the East at one point? So I
Yeah,
guess
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were.
they were first.
yeah, so I guess there's only so much he
Alonzo
can
Ball.
do, but also like the Bulls organization is just super weird. Like they gave Jim Boylan an extension and then 16 months later he got fired. Donovan got an extension last year and they never even revealed the details for it. So with how weird that organization is, I won't be surprised if they just go trigger happy, clean house, Donovan out. So yeah, tier 5.
Yeah, cool. All right, do it.
Hey,
I'm good with that.
Cook. Oh, Mark.
Is that Mark Dagnall?
That's Mark.
Marky Mark. All right.
Tier 1.
No, stop that.
Tier 1.
No, I'm saying tier. I think
Two.
tier, like,
Realistically, tier 2. I think tier 2.
Yeah, I think he's tier 2 too.
they have
Yeah.
to make the playoffs, right?
They're
They're
gonna
making
make the playoffs.
They're gonna make playoffs.
No, but like they have to like get to the first round, right? Like,
yeah, they're getting
Okay.
first round.
are we
Yeah.
sure?
See, that's the
Yeah.
thing.
Okay, I don't want to hear it from you. Aaron, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Cook.
No, like
Go.
if he was like Rick Carlisle, a guy with experience, then I would say he's tier 2. But he's not. He's a nobody.
Yeah,
My brother. He may be a nobody, but he's actually a good coach. He showed it last year.
but by
Okay,
getting
but
11th,
like yeah, he's
by
good,
getting to
but
the
when you have an
yeah.
all NBA first team guy, you're not settling for good. You want great. You want the best for
Yeah.
maximizing that young core that you have. And I am sure OKC is not going to settle for just a good coach. So tier 3 for me for sure. I and like depending on how the year goes, maybe even tier 4.
Yeah, I'm 100% with Aaron. Like this feels like the team that people are predicting take the next step this season, right? Like I know I said it with the Pacers earlier, but this is the team. Like Shea is a first team All NBA player. Chet Holmgren's back.
Mm.
Josh Giddey seems like he's taken the next step. They're finally starting to build something that looks palatable and legitimate. And who the heck knows if Mark Dagnall's the right guy for the job? Like Dwayne Casey won Coach of the Year for the Raptors, like, and then got fired the next year, right? Because he wasn't the guy to actually take that team to the next step. Are we sure that Mark Dagnall's the guy? Like, this is a guy with zero pedigree. He's been with one organization in his coaching career, and that's Oklahoma City, right? Like, it's great that he's seen these players grow and he's helped them develop, but we're not at the development stage anymore. We're at the point with a team that needs to do some, like, needs to make some noise. They need to be the Sacramento of this year. They need to be the Memphis of this year. They need to be the Phoenix of this year. They need to contend and they need to be legit, because we've been hoping it's going to happen with this team for how many years, and they finally have the pieces to do it.
Like I could see him being part of that. Maybe not in like 2 or 3 years, but next year I think he'll still be the head coach.
Mm.
Regardless, like he's in a safe seat right now.
Are we sure? Like what if they get knocked out in the play-in, man?
Players love him. That's
So
like,
what?
yeah.
Players love Dwayne Casey.
If they severely underperform, that goes the same for any other team here, except for Pop, obviously. That goes the same for any other team here. If they severely underperform, the coach is in the hot seat.
Mhm.
But like right now, Dagnall is in a safe spot. Like the players constantly back him up.
I don't think they even have to severely underperform for him to get the boot. I think if they underperform even a bit, Gonzo.
I still don't get the boot.
Yeah, like I feel like there's a legitimate difference between development head coaches and winning head coaches, right? Like you're not going to give Steve Kerr a roster full of like players that need to grow. Like you're not going to give Tom Thibodeau a roster. I mean, he's not a winning head coach either, but like you're not going to give Tom Thibodeau a roster full of players that need to become good players. This is a roster of guys that look like they're ready to take the next step. And who knows if Mark Dagnall's the right guy to do that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We don't know because
But
again,
I think that his situation is more shifty than any other of like these other development situations.
Mm. I
that's
get
fair.
it. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fair.
Like
Right?
if there's like a veteran coach that's on the market, I think that OKC is gonna
Yeah,
pounce on that right away.
because they want to win,
Yeah.
right? Like having Monty in Detroit makes sense. Like teach these guys how to win. But like Mark Dagnall doesn't know anything about winning. He doesn't. He's never won.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you need it. Like, and he's coaching a roster that doesn't know how to win either, because they never have.
You're telling me.
You need a guy.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like you need a guy in there that knows how to win and can teach them how to do it and can get like the losing mentality out of their heads, because that's all they know.
You're telling me when Ty Lue is a free agent next year, OKC won't want him? Come on.
Yeah.
You're right. They will. They're gonna go after.
Yeah. I hope Dagnall's good. I hope he is. I like him. He seems like
Look,
a great guy.
this season we can see how it plays out.
I think he's tier 4.
Yeah, put him in there.
I want to put him 3.
Okay, Aaron.
Put him in 4.
Okay, good.
Tough.
Yeah, this doesn't mean I'm
Darvin.
preying on his downfall. This is just me being
Hey,
realistic.
it's okay. It's okay.
No,
You
I'm
don't have
with
to
you.
save yourself.
100%. Okay. Darvin, Aaron, do you want to start this one, or how you feeling? How you feel about Darvin Ham?
Tier 4, that man.
Yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy.
Yeah.
Listen. He did a good job last year, definitely. But with the roster that Pelinka has given him this season, it's championship or bust, and we know how volatile coaching situations are in LA always. So it's not
Yeah.
like we just talked about Mark Dagno. It's not like he's a guy who's a championship head coach that they have to, still keep their faith in him. No, he's just like an assistant that just got promoted, and the Lakers always want the best available. So if Tyloo is available next year, buy Darvin Ham.
Cool. I agree. Everything you
Mm.
said. Right?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, Lakers head coaches. Second of all, LeBron head coaches. Right? Like, both ways that you're going here, like you need the best available. And if he's not that guy, like I don't see him getting fired
Yeah.
mid-season. Right? But like I wouldn't be shocked if he's gone at the end of the year if the Lakers don't win.
Mm.
Cool.
Okay. That's it.
We're good.
We're good with that.
Taylor Jenkins. What a I think Taylor Jenkins is a great coach. I think he's a really good coach. And I think that he's like
It's the
the
situation.
yeah, it's a messy situation. And I think that we might kind of need to look at it the same way that like I kind of prefaced the Mark Dagno thing here, right? Like Taylor Jenkins is a great coach by all means. Like he did he win coach of the year? He did, right?
Did he?
Or was it Monty? It was Monty,
Like,
wasn't
he
it?
didn't. I'm like, what?
He didn't. I don't think he did.
He should have won it. He
Yeah.
should have won. Okay. Taylor Jenkins should have won coach of the year that Monty Williams won it. Monty Williams won. I mean, I'm not going to get into semantics here, but he won it because he should have won it the year before when Tibbs won it. Doesn't matter. Taylor Jenkins is a great coach, but I think it's kind of like a similar situation to what we're looking at with like Mark Dagno, right? But like a couple years in the future, where it's like, yeah, like he was the perfect development coach to turn Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bain, and John Morant into the stars that they are now. But is he the right guy to not only take them to the next step, but Jesus, dude, manage your star? Like, do they need like a disciplinarian in there? Someone that can actually like speak to this team and like guide them properly, because their biggest issue is clearly discipline. The talent's there. Like they can win. They can be great. But like maybe he's not the guy to take them to that next level. Maybe he's the Dwayne Casey that needs to get fired before they can bring in someone that can win.
True. Or Mark Jackson, whatever.
Yeah.
See, that's
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
sorry.
like he could be the transition guy, right? Like we don't know if he's actually like a championship coach because he's the Grizzlies have lost twice now that when they're expected to go further. Like I mean, they were the favorite last year against the Lakers, obviously. Then so we don't know if he's actually going to be that kind of guy who's going to be the winning coach for this team.
I mean, you were comparing him to like Dagno, but I don't think that's the case here. Like we just said, he should have won.
I feel like he's more
Yeah, like
proven.
he should have won coach of the year. He
Yeah.
had like a few good seasons. Yes, the team did not also meet the expectations, but at the same time, he's been with the team for like 4 years now. So I think they've given him the reins for these years, and I think they won't change that. Like after a bad season, I think after two bad seasons, then they will start to assess the situation and then look at better options. But I don't think he has to worry about his job by the end of this season.
Cool.
And yeah, as you said, he's a great coach. I don't see a world where they just let go of him like that.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I agree. I think that he's a great coach. And Aaron, that's a good point. Like, this guy legit had coach of the year pedigree, right? And what he did for Memphis was like transformative. I'm willing to put him tier
Yeah,
3.
I'm not gonna stick out my neck for a tier 2 spot. Tier 3, I'm more than happy
Yeah.
with that.
Cool. That's how I felt anyway. Sweet.
Year
Cool.
3.
Chris Finch, Minnesota Timberwolves. I feel like the Timberwolves need to be good this season, right?
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's a
He's
weird
got, he's got
build.
a lot to figure out too. Like
Yeah,
with a twin tower thing,
yeah.
uh, I'd put him
It's
in
a
tier
tough
four,
situation.
honestly.
Yeah, I'm good at tier 4.
I
I'm
think
good
he'll
with
be tier four.
I'm good with 4. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, has to be tier 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
Unfortunately
there's a
for
lot of
him.
I like Chris Finch a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like I think that if he gets fired, like he'll be a legit name on the market because he's
Yeah,
good.
like it's not his fault that the team traded for for Rudy Gobert. It's not his fault that there's so much expectations all of a sudden, but he has to deal with it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Mike Malone, tier 1, no
Yeah.
objections at all, right? Cool.
Yeah.
0.
Doesn't matter. Like he just won a championship. He's not going anywhere. Who we got next? Sorry, it blurred out a bit for me. Is that Chauncey Billups?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we go 4 or 5?
5,
I want
right?
5?
Five.
Okay,
Let's go
I'm good
5.
with 5. Let's do it.
Yeah. There was
I really like waiting to be there either, to be honest.
Like, yeah, they're gonna suck, and who knows
Yeah.
if he can develop develop.
Dame's not gonna be there either.
Yeah,
It's like
horrendous, just awful, and like he was, yeah, I don't know, not good. Spo,
okay,
tier 1.
1.
yeah.
Yeah,
Easy one.
Easily.
Filipino most powerful race.
Woo!
All right, this is an interesting one, I think.
Last one.
I didn't think we'd spend this much time discussing some of these other head coaches, but I guess
Yeah.
we'll get into this one. JB Bickerstaff, for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm of the belief that
Man.
this guy's really on the chopping block. There were a lot of conversations following their loss, surprising loss. They got beat down by the New York Knicks in the
Like
first
New
round.
York?
They got cooked by the Knicks in the first round. Like it wasn't pretty. And there was a lot of talk around Bickerstaff being fired. Right? Like there was a good chance that he wasn't going to be coaching this team this year just because of how badly they flamed out against the Knicks.
Yeah.
Not only that, but Donovan Mitchell is coming into this season in a weird spot. We have never been sure throughout the tenure or since Donovan Mitchell was traded to the Cavaliers that he was really going to stay in the first place. So this might be a team that needs to really reinvent itself on the fly should Donovan Mitchell kind of ask out or like make his just not make sure that he doesn't stay, right? And Bickerstaff just doesn't seem like the coach to take this team to the next level at all. The schemes were messy. Like he brought them to the 4th seed, but and like that's where their expectations were in the regular season. But they're not a. This is not a playoff coach.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's because they flamed out so bad in the playoffs that we're kind of not sure how good of a coach he is, or if he's a championship coach at all.
Yeah, like I don't know. It felt like when he was hired, like he wasn't even supposed to be like a long-term solution there. Like
Yeah.
he feels like one of those guys that is destined to be an interim head coach, you know?
Hmm.
Like that just feels like who he is. He doesn't feel like a long-term head coach. He doesn't feel like a winning head coach. He didn't do any winning when he was in Memphis. He was like an interim in Houston, and like that's that. He wasn't gonna get hired on after that, after like the 2016 playoffs. Like he's not a good head coach.
Yeah. I
And he's not the guy that the Cavs need.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Like
Tier 5 though.
no, the honestly, tier 5 isn't too bad because I think he's reached his ceiling with this team. Uh, he did the most he could. Like he's just not good enough to take the team to the next step. Like playoff basketball is where you're always going to be judged, and with a team that has Donovan Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, you have to do better than a first round exit. Was he great in their development? Absolutely. Like Garland, he I thought he was going to be a bust, but then he just had like a whole renaissance, and now he actually looks like the top player he was supposed to be. Mobley looked like a
Yeah.
DPOI under Bickerstaff in his sophomore season. all of this happened because of the development that happened under Bickerstaff, but that's where he's good at, developing, not coaching. So I think he'd be a great asset on the bench, but not as the head coach. So they need somebody better for this team.
Yeah. I look at it like the same way Kid is in tier 5, right? Where it's just like your roster has expectations to win. We've said this a lot. Your roster has expectations to win, and you also have a star that could be on his way out, right? But like the on his way out thing is closer for Donovan Mitchell than it is for Luca, right? Like
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell could be out next season. So they need to win right now. They need to convince this guy to stay. They need to make sure that Donovan Mitchell stays, because I don't think that they're nearly as good without him. Like, this team is a legitimate playoff contender in the Eastern Conference because they have Donovan Mitchell. Otherwise, I think that they're a solid like 5 seed or 6 seed. But with Donovan Mitchell, like, I think that they could absolutely still be like a top 3 team in the East.
Yeah.
So they need to get there. They need to impress on this guy. Otherwise, he's going to New York, man. Like, he's gone. I promise you, he's gone. He never wanted to be in Cleveland. That was clear. And if you can't field a winning product, if you get cooked by the team that Donovan Mitchell wanted to go to, he's gonna go there. Like, there doesn't have to be any loyalty for Mitchell to this team. So the team needs to impress, and Bickerstaff just isn't that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I'm undecided between tier 4 and 5, but I think he's tier 5. Like, they really need to make some noise. Like, they can't just be a first round exit. Like, they can't just be a second round exit because Mitchell's been there, right? Like, this needs to be I feel this needs to be a conference semifinal, a conference final team if Bickerstaff is going to stay.
Yeah.
Because if they're not an Eastern Conference final team, I'm sorry, Mitchell's not going to stay. And I think that they want to keep Mitchell over Bickerstaff no matter what. Like, he is a way more important piece to this team than Bickerstaff is.
Of course.
And like, when your requirement to keeping your job is that high, I just think that, like, dude, like, you belong in tier 5. Like, that's it.
Yeah, he's more of like in the like at the end of the Mark Daignault cycle that you were referring to a while ago. Like, he was great for their development, but we're not. I mean, at this point, it's clear that he's not the guy to get them to that winning culture, or get them to win. So yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you guys said. Like, he's probably gone by the end of the season, or probably midway through the season if the Cavs don't play to expectations. So yeah, I'd put him in tier 5 as well.
Cool.
Right.
You good?
Yeah.
Wow. This is a long episode, eh?
Yeah. Do we want to like order these?
No,
No,
yeah,
I'm
that's
fine
okay.
with it. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. It's fine. We don't need to do it by order, but
Disclaimer, this is not an exact order.
I feel a lot more comfortable with this tier list than the one we made last year with Nick Nurse and Ty Lue in tier 1. I feel like this is a lot more reasonable.
Okay, this one can't age bad, right?
Yeah. No, we have good takes. We're gonna be 30 for 30 on this shit.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
Steve Clifford Renaissance coming. But yeah, okay, that's our tier list. If you've got any disagreements, like, please voice them in the comments below. I want to hear it. I want you to tell us how wrong we are about Rick Carlisle, or how wrong they are about Rick Carlisle and the Indiana Pacers. It's been a blast. What an episode, hey?
Yeah.
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 So happy
More
we're doing
tier-
YouTube.
More tiers coming.
Huh?
More tier lists coming in the future.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm happy we're doing YouTube videos now, right? So like you can actually like see our thought process here, where we're look at these guys. We're multimedia now.
Yeah,
Yo, this
it's
is a new era for the Positionless podcast.
Love to see it.
We are in a different era. Deal with it. Sorry, Stephen A. Smith quote.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm okay, man.
so
I'm
good.
good. I'm good. I think I'm building out his mustache, so maybe soon.
God.
Of course, you had to repeat it.
Of course. Yo, life is a circle, man. Yeah. It's been a blast. We good? We're done? We don't need a we don't Oh, quickly. Let's just do this quick. Who's the first coach to get fired?
Right here.
Clifford? Aaron, who
Yeah.
you got?
Right here.
He's wearing blue, but the big red dog, Clifford.
Okay. Mike, who you got?
I want to say JB, no?
Oh, JB?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Kid.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Now we can get out of here. Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the Positionless Pod. Thank you
Wait,
for
wait,
watching if you're on YouTube.
before,
Huh?
this is the actual rating.
Put that down. Put that down. No,
Wait, let's
no.
do
What
top.
are you
Yeah.
doing?
Number one. Right.
Way.
Shout out
Bro,
Mark. No,
people didn't know who Mark Dagnall was
Number one.
until last season.
You're number
bro.
one in my heart. All right.
Yo, who
Thanks
let
for listening.
who let him control this?
No, this is ridiculous, man.
We should have never done this.
No,
this is
not Diego,
our
man.
final tier list.
Unbelievable. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to the Positionless Pod and watching it if you're on YouTube. It's been a slice. Make sure to check us out, review. Check us out on socials at the Kickout or on a TikTok, YouTube Reels, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all of them now. We're making Reels, making YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Awesome.
What are we doing?
Awesome.
Yeah, just stay tuned for more content coming your way. We will be back next week because that's just what we do now. We're consistent. We're hardworking. We're
Oh,
killing
man.
it. Yeah, make sure to follow us all on socials as well as obviously the Kickout. What else do I need to say? I'm so bad at doing outros, dude. There's like a list of things that I need to say. Oh yeah, signing off for Aaron Matthew, Diego San Agustin, and Michael Anthony Cruz. I am your host, Kai Gamage. Thank you for listening. See you next week.
It's been a slice.
Been a slice.